Who wrote that speech?
Andrew Little.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, this bill is the most symbolic of all the budget legislation going through the House. It is the most symbolic of the measures in the budget, apart from one other. The National Party, after 7 years in office, discovered poverty in New Zealand.
Yes.
They've discovered after 7 years that there are people who have been struggling and doing it really hard. And they've helped. They've got them $25 a week, but they've taken everything else away from those hard-working, hard-struggling Kiwis. And this is just one of them. This is the most symbolic. This is the most symbolic. The purpose of KiwiSaver, when it was first started under the last progressive Labor government, the last Labor government, was to help savings, because everybody identified that New Zealand had a major savings problem and people were struggling to put money aside, and they needed to have a scheme in which they could save and live with just that little extra comfort in their retirement. But ever since this government's been in power, it has hated KiwiSaver. Actually, it hated KiwiSaver at birth, but it's hated KiwiSaver ever since, and every opportunity they get to hack away at it, to cut it, to undermine it, to destroy it, they take that opportunity. They did it when they cut the member tax credits and undermined that contribution, and that helped the hard-working Kiwis. And now they're having another go. Now they're having another go. They're taking away the kickstart. They're taking away the kickstart because this is a national party and a national government that hates KiwiSaver. They can't leave it alone. They can't keep their hands off it, a bit like the Prime Minister in ponytails. They can't keep their hands off it. So now they're taking away the kickstart. The very thing that helps many people, many workers I know when the first scheme came in, the one thing that got them into the scheme was that kickstart, the $1,000. It was, I know I'm going to have a little bit of a struggle to get into this in the next few years until my pay increases, but because I'm part of a good union, I know I'm going to get good pay increases, but I'll make the contributions, and I know I'll get the $1,000 kickstart, and that'll get me into the scheme. That's why 2.5 million Kiwis are in the scheme. That's why 2.5 million Kiwis have made that decision, because they know they could get that help, and they were getting the member tax credits as well until this mob cut them and made that harder. But they all got the kickstart, the $1,000 payment. And those who were thinking about their kids and their kids' future thought, yep, we'll make sure they get in and get an early good savings habit started. So the mums and dads signed the kids up too, and they got the kickstart as well. Well, all that goes, and it may have been lost on the National Party and their great planners. Oh, whoops, they don't have any because they don't have a plan. They've never had a plan. They've never had a plan for the good of New Zealand. But let's just assume, let's do what economists do. Let's make an assumption that the National Party has somebody who does planning. When they plan this, they may have forgotten that actually kids are going to carry on being born in New Zealand. New Zealand parents will continue to have children. I think we can safely make that assumption. And so that as more children are born, and as more children come into New Zealand, and as they enter the workforce, they might want to start their KiwiSaver account. And they might need a bit of help. And a $1,000 kickstart will be that help. Well, it would have been that help, but they have destroyed it again because they hate KiwiSaver. It's bad enough. It's bad enough that they're running down New Zealand Super. Oh yeah, 7 years in office and not a single effort done to make sure that the future of New Zealand and New Zealand retirees is safe and secure. They just live in splendid ignorance. They live in splendid ignorance of the biggest issue facing the country. They just bury their heads in the sand and they don't want to touch it. It's bad enough for a country that is desperately trying to grow its own capital base, desperately trying to create the foundation for future wealth by things like KiwiSaver, that this government, that this party in government just continues to run it down. And they sit there shamefaced. The only respectable look they've shown in the whole budget debate, they sit there shamefaced because they know the damage that they are wringing on this country. They know the damage they are doing. Just like the rest of the budget, actually, because they don't have a plan, they don't have a vision, they don't know what they're doing. It's budget by budget, and it's broken promise after broken promise. They know they're doing this They're doing this because they've discovered poverty and they're desperate to do something to give the appearance that they're doing something. So they'll crib it out of KiwiSaver, take it off the future generations and try and kind of look after those who've been struggling for so long and give them a slight bit of reprieve now. But it's not a way to run the country, and it's not a way to build a foundation, and it's not a way to prove the long-term interests of all New Zealanders and all New Zealand. They don't have an answer. They don't have a clue. They don't have a plan. They don't know what they're doing. Out of touch, out of ideas, and rapidly out of time. They don't know what they're doing. Demolishing KiwiSaver, taking away the kickstart, is just another measure to further erode the strength that New Zealand desperately needs in its economic base. They've got nothing at all. They've got nothing at all to add to the long-term future economic base of New Zealand. Here was something. Encourage people to get into savings. Encourage people to get into KiwiSaver. Give those kids a chance. Give them a start. Those workers who are on sort of, low and medium incomes, give them a help to get into KiwiSaver, to build up their long-term savings. Hopefully give them a bit of dignity in retirement. But no, they can't look much further. They can't look much further than the next balance date. And then they have to make up a fictional surplus to get them that far as well, to convince themselves that they know what they're doing, to convince themselves that they think they've got a budget that's going to make a difference. Well, the only difference it's making is to make it much harder for hard-working Kiwis who just want a bit of help to get their savings underway, just want a bit of help to get their KiwiSaver going. And now it's being ripped from under them because this government is desperate, is out of ideas, doesn't know what to do, can't manage the economy, is leaving all the problems built up for the next government to have to fix and address. The problems are all mounting, and this will just be one of them. The ongoing shallow capital base of New Zealand, encouraged and fomented by this government because it doesn't know what it's doing. Thrashing around, looking for an answer, thrashing around, trying to convince themselves that what they've done is going to be good for struggling, hard-working New Zealanders, and it's not. And it's not. But they've got to do this. They've got to convince themselves. They've got to convince themselves that if they give the appearance of doing something and pat themselves on the back for discovering poverty, that maybe they can get through the next year and as they rush around trying to find a solution to the other bigger problems. They talk about leakage. They talk about this is about their answer to leakage because apparently they're saying the kickstart is not targeted to the right people. Well, actually, KiwiSaver is targeted at everybody. That's the whole thing about KiwiSaver. It is about getting every New Zealander a chance to have a save, to have their savings. Giving every New Zealander a chance to get their savings habit underway from a young age, from a working age. But now, here they go again. They never said this in the election. They never went into the election and said, that's it.
That's right.
I mean, we all knew they hated KiwiSaver. We thought the hatred had come to an end. We thought they might do something constructive. We thought they might do something to build New Zealand's economic base. We thought they might do something for the good of New Zealand's economic future, but still they won't. David Bennett thinks that doing something for New Zealand's economic future is the Waikato Expressway. Well, that's not enough. That's not enough. That's about ferrying people out of Auckland because they're desperate to get out of there, get somewhere they can drive the car. But not about building the economic base of New Zealand. They've got nothing to say about helping New Zealanders on their savings habit. And now we see the most symbolic gesture in this budget, is yet more short-termism and ripping away the opportunity that hard-working Kiwis would have to start their savings habit, and here they're doing it. Saturday morning, on budget weekend, here they go, ripping away the chance of opportunity for hard-working Kiwis who just want a chance to save, just want a chance to contribute to the nation's savings and the good of the nation. Well, here it goes again. Here's the National Party again. The National Party, as we know it, doesn't like KiwiSaver, hates workers, doesn't want to give them a hand, doesn't want to give them any support, and they pull away the one chance they've got, the one bit of help they get to get their savings habit underway, and here they are, budget 2015, pull it out from under them, rip it up. They don't like working Kiwis trying to get ahead. It's the way the National Party operates. They've done it for the last 70 years. They're doing it again in office. It's about to come to an end. It'll be the next Labour-led government that restores KiwiSaver and gives working New Zealanders a chance to get ahead, and for the good of all New Zealand.
Well, Mr. Speaker,
Honourable Jerry.